This is the day when the word woman is conjugated in all the tenses, and in recent times, also by pronouns. In the early days of this holiday, the ceremonial wishes of the management were followed by the presentation of a flower for Eve and a package of stockings, unavailable on store shelves at the time. Although today, instead of carnations, some people still push ideological utopias on us. Fortunately for many Poles, this day remains first and foremost a holiday for all ladies. And what do they wish them on this special occasion? Good husbands and good boyfriends. Will you be sending wishes to the ladies today on March 8th? I have already sent wishes to some of them. There are flowers waiting for my wife at home. For them to have it a little bit easier in life. Women are often underestimated. They work for everyone and actually get little in return sometimes. For women to be valued, beautiful, and happy in life. Gifts, flowers, and lots of love. Reason. In the first place, reason. Also love, including to their own adoring men. All the best. But I also wish the guys to have peace and patience with women. Lots of flowers, lots of gifts and smiles on their faces. I wish freedom from scrolling on social media all the time. Of course, it's clear people will see even this in the media, but maybe they'll put down their phones after seeing this. May men adore us, appreciate us, be kind to us, and above all, love us. Men should love women every day of their lives. As for what is especially important for women, we asked an expert. I always have this dilemma because, yes, on the one hand, it seems to me that women always need to be appreciated. Not just on March 8th, this single day a year to appreciate her is not really enough. But on the other hand, the way I look at it, even this one day is important. And when I ask women, they look forward to this day and this attention on this day, even if they sometimes deny it.
Bo z dziewczynami nigdy nie wie, oj nie wie się, czy dobrze jest, czy może jest już źle. Spokoju się spodziewać, czy też przejść, czy szukać jej, czy jej z oczu zejść.
Video released on Thursday, March 7th, showed a UK-owned ship attacked by Houthi militants last month, sinking in the Red Sea. The Belize-registered Rubimar is the first vessel lost since the Houthis began targeting commercial ships in November. Those drone and missile assaults have forced shipping firms to divert ships to the longer route around southern Africa, disrupting global trade by delaying deliveries and sending costs higher. The Rubimar went down in the southern Red Sea late on Friday, March 1st, or early on Saturday, March 2nd, according to statements from the Yemen government and CENTCOM. The U.S. military previously said the February 18th missile attack had significantly damaged a bulk vessel and caused an 18-mile or 29-kilometer oil slick. The ship was carrying about 21,000 metric tons of fertilizer, CENTCOM said on Saturday. The Iran-aligned Houthis, who control the north of Yemen and other large centers, say their campaign is a show of solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza. More and more examples of provocations from the farmers' protests in Poland are appearing online. In this video, masked men can be seen throwing paving stones at police. They were recorded by a farmer participant in the protest, who says openly that they were provocateurs. None of the protesters knew them, and it was to this provocation that the officers responded, forcibly pacifying the protesters. It looked like a setup, to say the least. On Wednesday, immediately after the protest ended, a meeting of the Parliamentary Committee on Agriculture was held. Representatives of Solidarity spoke at it, who reported on the outrageous behavior of the police officers. Police are searching for more than a dozen protesters after the demonstration. Some of the farmers have already faced charges that sometimes seem downright bizarre. Violated the bodily integrity of a police commissioner in that he threw an egg in his direction, hitting him in the left leg of the ankle area, and a senior constable in that he threw eggs in his direction, hitting him in both legs. In connection with the provocation and police brutality, the opposition is demanding the resignation of Interior and Administration Minister Marcin Kierwiński. Meanwhile, Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk announces that at Saturday's talks with some farmers, he will present them with good news. However, as the European Union's Agriculture Commissioner Janusz Wojciechowski points out, this is probably about issues already dealt with by Polish Commissioner, namely stopping the fallowing of 4% of land and limiting the use of pesticides. The Parliamentary Committee on Agriculture worked on draft resolutions prepared by Law and Justice and the Confederation Party, calling on the government to meet the demands of protesting farmers. The new government torpedoed the drafts with amendments, so the opposition withdrew its proposals. The agricultural side has made no secret of its disappointment at this turn of events. Farmers have been continuously protesting against the European Green Deal policy, as well as the duty-free movement of agricultural products from Ukraine. The protesters understand perfectly well that the culprit of this situation is Russia, which has shaken the world market through its imperial policies. Donald Tusk's team went into the elections convincing itself that it is the camp that counts in Europe. However, practice shows otherwise, as all amendments by Polish MEPs on liberalizing trade with Ukraine were rejected. U.S. President Joe Biden has delivered his State of the Union address. It is a constitutional requirement that the president give a detailed report of his work and plans for the future before a joint assembly of the House of Representatives and Senate, in addition to a television audience.
For years, I've heard many of my Republican and Democratic friends say that China is on the rise and America is falling behind. They've got it backwards. I've been saying it for over 4 years, even when I wasn't president. America's rising. We have the best economy in the world. And since I've come to office, our GDP is up, our trade deficit with China is down to the lowest point in over a decade.
Stating that democracy is under threat at home and abroad, Biden used his speech to criticize his rival, former President Donald Trump's stance toward Russia, and again called on Republican congressmen to pass a financial aid package for arms and ammunition for Ukraine.
If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not. Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand with Ukraine and provide the weapons that needs to defend itself. That is all. That is all Ukraine is asking. They're not asking for American soldiers. In fact, there are no American soldiers at war in Ukraine, and I'm determined to keep it that way. But now, assistance to Ukraine is being blocked by those who want to walk away from our world leadership. Now my predecessor, a former Republican president, tells Putin, quote, "Do whatever the hell you want." That's a quote. A former president actually said that, bowing down to a Russian leader. I think it's outrageous, it's dangerous, and it's unacceptable.
President Biden recalled that the United States is leading the international effort to bring humanitarian aid to Gaza. As he stated, Israel has the right to defend itself, but the anti-terrorist operation against Hamas has resulted in more innocent casualties than all previous Gaza wars combined.
The United States has been leading international efforts to get more humanitarian assistance to Gaza. Tonight, I'm directing the U.S. military to lead an emergency mission to establish a temporary pier in the Mediterranean on the coast of Gaza that can receive large shipments carrying food, water, medicine, and temporary shelters.
The U.S. president assured that he would not demonize migrants and urged Republicans to support his proposal to strengthen border security. He stressed that he wants to overcome political divisions on this issue.
I will not demonize immigrants saying they are poison in the blood of our country. I will not separate families. I will not ban people because of their faith. Unlike my predecessor on my first day in office, I introduced a comprehensive bill to fix our immigration system. Take a look at it. It has all these and more.
For the incumbent U.S. president, the address was an opportunity to reach out to millions of voters, wondering whether to vote for him or choose a Republican contender for the White House on November 5th. In most national pre-election polls, former President Donald Trump leads by a few percent. Australia's Great Barrier Reef has been hit by a major coral bleaching event, with the results consistent with patterns of heat stress that have built up over summer at the biologically diverse site. The Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority, the agency tasked with monitoring the reef's health, confirmed that a widespread, often called mass coral bleaching event is unfolding across the reef.
Oh, it's devastating, because especially at the Keppels, which is where I was recently, we've seen a lot of recovery on these reefs. There are some incredible spots. And to see a lot of these reefs bleached and, they're potentially going to, lots of the corals might die. And then, we're going to have to follow them through several years of recovery. It's just really quite heartbreaking. I am in tears underwater every now and then when I see this stuff. But I think it's really important to have hope. And I'm just hoping that the water temperatures will come down enough for most of the corals to survive and recover. Because the alternative is if the corals die, then it takes a long time for reefs to recover.
Bleaching causes corals to expel the colorful algae living in their tissues, turning them white. Coral can survive a bleaching event, but it can stunt growth and affect reproduction. Australia has been lobbying for years to keep the reef off UNESCO's endangered list, as it could lead to losing the heritage status, taking some shine off its attraction for tourists. The reef contributes about $4 billion to the economy and supports about 64,000 jobs.